It's that time of year again where we chuck out our predictions, but for the championship, it kicks off tonight. There's always a promoted team against a relegated team. Anyway, it is Birmingham versus Ipswich tonight. That's probably going to be a good game. We're going to quickly look at my predictions from 24-25, see how I got on them. And then I'm going to get into my 25-26 predictions. So this is what I predicted for 24-25. Not the worst. You know, I had Burnley to go up. I had West Brom to go up. They missed out. Luton is probably the biggest one I got wrong there. They obviously got relegated. I didn't expect them to fall off quite so hard. Leeds, I probably underrated a little bit. And Norwich are around there. Sunderland, I think, are the other one who I missed off massively. I put them way down near the bottom. And obviously, they finished much, much higher. Plymouth, Oxford, Blackburn, they all kind of struggled. Cardiff, I've put way too high. But in general, most of that table is around about where they finished. Teams like Portsmouth, Stoke, Sheffield Wednesday, Swansea, I think they all finished around mid-table. So I'm not too disappointed with it. You know, certainly there's always going to be overperformers and underperformers throughout the season. Sunderland were one of those. Luton were one of those. So let's go see if we can do a little bit better this year. Now, I couldn't find a good predictor, so we've just resigned ourselves to the trusty notepad to try and get our predictions in. Now, one of the challenges, obviously, when doing this is that there is still a bit of time for teams to get new transfers in and get new players in. But we're going to give it a go. So we've got our tape. I've got a table here with all the teams. And I'm just going to sort of put them in where I think roughly they're going to be. I mean, let's start with who I think is going to get promoted or at least near the top. Ipswich have got to be up there. They've lost a few players, but they're going to be up there around about. For now, I'm going to put them second. But I might adjust this as we go on. Coventry under Frank Lampard have been resurgent. Can he keep it up? It's really going to depend. But I'm going to put Coventry down in fifth. I think another playoff year for them. Other teams I think will go up. I hate to say it, but I think Southampton are going to be there. I'm going to put them down as third, though. Of the other relegated team, Leicester. Now, a lot of people have put Leicester a lot lower than I have. I think they're going to at least reach playoffs. And now I'm sort of looking at my rest of my list and thinking maybe I've missed someone off. I'm going to move Ipswich up to win the league. I don't know. Do you know what? There doesn't seem to be any real... like, the relegated teams were so poor last year in the Premier League. And they'll have lost players. It's hard to see them dominating the league in the way that last year I felt that there was a lot of strong teams. I think that the championship is really balanced this year. There's a lot of teams with a lot of history. So other teams that probably be near the top. I don't want to put Southampton top 2. I think that's part of my problem as well. Birmingham is going to be a really interesting one. Spent a lot of money, but they've only just come up from League One. But I think they could do it. I think they could hit the playoffs. So we're going to put Birmingham in 6. The bookies certainly have them doing quite well. And then I think the other standout team is probably Sheffield United. But they've been up and down a few times. They seem to have like a good core. I don't know quite where they're going to... I mean, they could equally end up in the bottom half easily. But talking of Sheffield, I mean, there's our bottom team right there. Sheffield Wednesday, absolute disaster. I don't think they've got a points deduction at the minute, but it's the kind of thing you could see coming into the team. So yeah, Sheffield Wednesday, definitely bottom of the table. I don't know what's going to happen there. It's not good for Sheffield Wednesday fans. The other team I'm going to put near the bottom is Oxford. I think they were lucky to stay up last year. A bit like Portsmouth, really. They got promoted the year before, but they're certainly one of the smaller teams in the division this season. And the third one I think I'm going to put to go down is... now it's tough to think. Hull could be... the promoted teams were Wrexham, Birmingham, and Charlton. I think Charlton will do all right. You see, if it had been Wickham who'd come up, I might have put Wickham there, but they didn't. Do I think Charlton will be safe? I mean, there's QPR, there's Preston. I'm going to put Preston down there. Preston North End. We're going to put QPR down there as well. QPR have never really recovered since getting knocked out of the Premier League. Charlton are going to be down here. Now, on my own team, Portsmouth, I think we're going to go about where we hit last year. I think we finished 16th in the end, but we certainly struggled for periods of the season, and it was looking dicey. Even though we had games in hand, it was looking dicey. Just a nice little run at the end of the year. I haven't put Hull in yet. Hull have got to be down this end, surely. And then there's teams who I think, you know, if they put something together, put together a little squad because they've got a good foundation, a team like Watford could easily make the playoffs. Now, Wrexham's going to be interesting. Lots of overhaul at Wrexham. I think we could be due just a little bit of plateauing from Wrexham. Everyone says they're going to fly up to the Premier League. They're spending a lot of money. Actually, I'm going to put them a bit higher. They brought in some good players. They brought in some older players, but they're like just to go up four times in 4 years might be a step too far. Championship is a lot harder at that top level than it is in League One. You know, League One, you get some top teams, but as you get towards the bottom end, you've got, you know, some easy to beat teams. Wrexham are going to struggle. You know, Wrexham, like you see Wrexham come up against Southampton, Leicester, or Ipswich, it's going to be hard to favour them. Other mid-table teams, I think, you know, Stoke will be in or around here. I'll put Stoke like 13th. Bristol City tends to be one of those teams. Actually, I think I always overrate Bristol City because they have a good youth setup, but they do lose some of those players occasionally. So we're going to put Bristol City up in 9th. And I think I've also I've missed Middlesbrough. Do Middlesbrough sneak in somewhere here? Maybe we move Bristol. I think I'm going to put Middlesbrough in 8th. Middlesbrough. Again, they only went down 2 years ago. A bit of overhaul of the team, but it's, you know, still it should be capable. Right, Millwall. Millwall are always there or thereabouts. Now, who am I missing? We are missing Preston. We got Preston, Oxford, QPR. Blackburn's got to fit in here somewhere. Blackburn will be lower down. Maybe, you know, I mean, it's a really tough thing, the Championship. Any of these teams could just, like, 4 or 5 games, they get a bit of a rub of the green, a bit of luck, and they'll be up the top somewhere. Derby County, again, that's another team. Only went up a few years ago. I think they came up with us last year with Portsmouth. So I think we're going to put them down in the bottom half. Who else am I missing? We've got Norwich. There's another team with recent-ish Premier League experience. It might be a few years ago now. Put Norwich 10th. And then I'm missing Swansea. Easy mid-table team. So I'm going to put them 14th. And I'm missing one other team. And this is the challenge. I've got to work out who I've missed. Who have I missed? I've got Charlton. I have Charlton, Stoke, Bristol, Derby, Watford, Millwall, Wrexham. West Brom. Have I missed West Brom? Oh, I normally put West Brom quite high. I'm going to drop Wrexham down. Like a team like West Brom's got to be able to beat Wrexham, right? We'll put West Brom just above Wrexham. Again, easily could make the playoffs. Am I happy with this? Before I stick to it, I'm just going to have a quick look, a good old transfer market, and see sort of who's been making moves and what moves they've been making. So let's look at the Championship. We can actually see transfer market value. Southampton, Leicester, and Ipswich are the highest because they come out of the Premier League. Norwich, maybe I've underrated then. Norwich probably have like a higher rated, at least value-wise. Coventry is quite highly rated. Birmingham is high. So maybe Norwich needs to go a bit higher. But I can't just base it. I mean, Portsmouth are down near the bottom of that, and Wrexham are down near the bottom. So we can't just base it on their transfer value. Steven Nzonzi has just gone to Stoke. Did he not used to play there? Just looking at who else. Portsmouth have loaned Min Hyuk Yang from Spurs. I think they loaned him to QPR last year. Alfie Devine has gone to Preston from Spurs as well. Give me a transfer overview for the year. Who has spent the most? So Birmingham have spent about 14 million. Furuhashi, for example, coming in for 9 million. Marvin Duksh as well, coming in for 2 million. That's quite a lot for a Championship team, especially as they spent like Jay Stansfield big money last year. Blackburn spending a little bit less, but they've still they haven't really made any money from sales. Bristol City have spent nothing, interestingly. I'm going to drop Bristol City down. They've just brought in 2 free transfers, one of which is Joe Lumley as well. So we're going to drop Bristol City down to 15th, and everyone above that's going to get a little bump. In fact, rather than a bump, I've shuffled it just a little bit. Charlton have spent a fair chunk. Coventry haven't spent much, but they've got a decent team already. Derby have bought in Patrick Agamang from Charlotte. He's quite decent, so I'm going to put him in 12th. I'll leave him there. They've not really lost too many. Gustavo Puerta at Hull, decent central midfielder. Nice little Colombian central midfielder. I've been using him in Foot Manager, actually. But they have lost Steven Alzate. I think they'll be all right, though. I think Puerta might have been there last year, actually, at Hull, but they just loaned it. They were only loaning him in. Ipswich Town have bought in Ashley Young, age 40, and David Button. That's actually chaos. Ashley Young at Ipswich. They also spent 11 million on Matusiwa. I guess because they got 35 million for Liam Delap, so they got big money in. So and I'm sure they'll get a couple more players in. They'll help them go back up. Millwall bought in Josh Coburn from Middlesbrough, 6.4 million. But they've also sold Fleming to Burnley for a load of money. I tell you what, Norwich are splashing the cash a little bit. I'm wondering whether I've underrated Norwich here. But they have also sold a few players for it. Boyer Science has gone into a good player. My own team, Portsmouth, has not lost. I mean, we've just made money. We've not spent much. I can see us near the bottom. Preston, equally, not spent much. QPR, not spent much. I think these teams near the bottom are like, you know, there's not loads going on there. They don't want to chuck out 50. I mean, you look at what Birmingham or Ipswich are chucking out. I know they've had big transfers out, but I'm surprised Southampton had a lot of players go out and not a lot coming in. They've made 30 million in transfer profit. So they've lost Damien Downs. They lost Joshua. Sorry, they brought in Damien Downs and Joshua Kwasi, but they've lost Sulemana, Bednarak, Ami Onuachu, Ramsdale they've loaned out. Kyle Walker-Peters has gone. Lumley, Larios, Lallana, all gone from the team. So yeah, there's like quite a lot of players departing the team. West Brom have spent a little bit of money. I'm glad I bumped them up. They've not really sold anyone either. Wrexham equally have spent about 12 million. So I'm pretty happy with that. They brought in Liberato Cacace from Empoli, for example. Connor Cody, Kiefer Moore, but the Wrexham squad overall is like, some of these are still League 2 level players. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Let me know what you think of my predictions. If you want to share your own, come put them in the Discord. I'll share a link to that down below. Come put it in the football chat section. I'll create a little thread of championship predictions. Or just write a comment on why I'm wrong, because it's the internet and people love to do that. Thank you very much for watching. Go check out. I've been rating football shirts. Every team's best ever shirt. I started with the Premier League. Championship is coming soon, but I'll direct you to the Premier League video right now. Thank you very much, guys. Catch you later. Ciao, ciao.